Let's talk about a word that, if you work in apprenticeships, you know all too well: Ofsted. For many of us, it brings on a bit of a panic, a frantic search for files and folders. But what if it didn't have to be like that? This is all about how we at Kent Business College can shift our whole mindset away from that last-minute scramble and towards showing the incredible impact we have on our apprentices every single day. So, let's dive in.
We've all been there, haven't we? You hear the whispers, then the email finally lands, and suddenly the Ofsted inspection is all anyone can talk about. And this usually kicks off what I call the inspection myth, the idea that it's all about the paperwork. And there it is, the call. The clock officially starts ticking. It can feel like your entire world shrinks down to this one event for the next couple of days. And yeah, it can cause a bit of panic. But here's the thing, it really doesn't have to. That reactive scramble isn't actually the best way to show how good we are.
And so it begins, the mad dash to find that master folder, the frantic chase for signatures on documents that are months old, and the poor printer going into overdrive. It's a flurry of activity all focused on one thing, getting our paperwork in order. But as we're about to see, focusing this hard on the documents can sometimes mean we lose sight of the bigger picture.
Which leads us to this, the really crucial question. Is this paper chase what inspectors are actually here to see? Well, the short answer is no, not really. They're not here to audit our filing skills. They want to understand the quality of the training, the learning, the whole experience our apprentices get day in and day out.
So let's flip this on its head. The real story isn't about paperwork and compliance, it's about evaluation. It's about knowing, really knowing, that we're doing a good job. And more importantly, it's about how we use that knowledge to get even better. This is the shift that takes us from panic to pure, confident professionalism.
I absolutely love this quote because it gets to the heart of everything. You see, strong evidence isn't something you create for an inspection. It's the natural byproduct of what we do every day. It's the trace we leave behind when we just do our jobs well.
So what on earth do we mean by evaluation? This sounds a bit formal, doesn't it? But all it really is a disciplined process. It's us checking to see if our training is actually working. You know, are our apprentices learning what they need to? Are they getting better at their jobs? Are they progressing? That's the real question we should be asking ourselves all the time.
And it's so important to know the difference between just being busy and actually making a difference. It's not about having a calendar full of meetings or chasing pointless satisfaction scores. It's about knowing the difference between activity and impact. Are the things we're doing actually helping our apprentices improve? That's what matters.
Okay, that's all well and good in theory, but what does this actually look like on the ground? In the real world? Let's walk through a scenario to see what strong evaluation looks like in practice and how it compares to a much weaker approach.
This slide just lays it out so perfectly. Good evaluation is like being a detective. It connects the dots, it uses lots of different sources of information, and it's always digging for the root cause of an issue. Weak evaluation, on the other hand, just skates on the surface. It focuses on the symptom, like late paperwork, without ever asking why.
Right, let's look at this digital marketing example. It kicks off with a piece of feedback from an employer. They say the apprentices can tell them what's in their reports, but not why it matters commercially. Now, instead of just telling the apprentices to try harder, the team digs deeper. They discover the root cause. Our progress reviews are checking knowledge but not reasoning. So they take action. New prompts, new questions, and crucially, they close the loop. They check back in, and guess what? The employer feedback improves. That right there is a perfect evaluation cycle.
The weaker approach? Well, that would have been to just focus on the symptom. It would have been like seeing the tip of the iceberg and thinking you've seen the whole problem. We'd have just told the apprentice to be better in meetings, never discovering the real issue was with our own process. To make real improvements, we have to dig deeper.
So, doing all this fantastic work is half the battle. The other half is being able to talk about it. An inspection, at its best, is just a professional conversation. And our job is to make sure our staff feel confident and ready to articulate the amazing impact they have every single day. So, picture this. An inspector is sitting opposite you, and they ask this question: how do you evaluate the quality of your progress reviews? Not just whether you've ticked the box to say they've happened. They want to know how you know that conversation was any good. What would you say?
A really great, confident answer isn't about one thing. It's about connecting all the pieces. You'd talk about how you check the quality of the reviews themselves, not just if they're on time. You'd mention how you make sure the employer's input is actually meaningful. And then you'd bring it all together by triangulating it with what the apprentice and employer are saying. It shows a full 360-degree view of quality.
And here's another classic, the so what question. Okay, you've spotted an issue, you've put an action in place. Great, but how do you know it actually worked? This question tests whether we're following through right to the very end, to the impact.
And a brilliant answer is all about closing that loop. You explain that every single action has a follow-up point planned in. You go back, you resample, you look for a change. You don't just assume it worked, you actually ask the learners and employers if they've noticed a difference. You only close that action when you can see with your own eyes that it's had a real impact.
And really, this all leads us to the most important point. This isn't about jumping through hoops for an inspection. It's about building a culture of continuous improvement that helps our apprentices shine all year round.
If you take one thing away today, let it be this. True inspection readiness isn't about compliance. It's about our culture. It's about how we do things around here. And a strong, healthy culture of improvement will always be more powerful than a perfectly organized folder.
And this is what that culture looks like. It's a simple, powerful cycle. You see what's really happening using data and feedback. You act on what you find. You check to see if it worked, and then you refine your approach. And on it goes. It never stops because we can always get better.
So let's finish where we began, with this absolute truth. An inspector observes what is typical, not what you've specially prepared for them. The best evidence we could ever show them is the evidence that is just naturally created by the fantastic, thoughtful, and impactful work we do here at Kent Business College every single day.
So I'll leave you with one final thought. As you go about the rest of your day, just think about the work you did, the conversations you had, the support you gave an apprentice. What trace did your best work leave behind today? Because that trace, that is the most powerful evidence of all.